Well, hey there, I hope you're doing well. I've been thinking a little bit about the planners that I've been using and the ones that I'll be hopefully using in 2023. I've been talking to a few people that have been interested in using daily planners. And I had a chance to reflect a little bit about the system that I've been using this past year, and I feel like it's been really, really helpful for me. And so I thought maybe it would be useful to share. Mind you, this is the way my brain works, so maybe this is not helpful for everybody, but if you have any suggestions, that would be super great. I think we're all using planners so that we could really accomplish all our goals and feel like we're making time for the meaningful things in life. And so if we could share our different approaches, that would be super helpful. So these are two common daily planners that a lot of people use. The A6 Hobonichi Techo or the Cousin. I use my A6 Techo for a daily journal. I've noticed that a lot of people use the Cousin for a journal as well, but I don't actually do that at all. I use that as my proper planner. So the daily planner part of the Hobonichi Cousin is really interesting because it has a section for the times of the day, so you could actually write down appointments, and there's like a really subtle line here. And then I've seen a lot of people use this space to write some reflections on the day, to journal, and to do really beautiful things. And their spreads are incredibly beautiful. I use them for more like a quite practical planning. And so I've been, for the past year, I've been using mine in an interesting way. I have been using that major chunk, space, to do like a daily goals that I want to do. So I basically, this was for yesterday. Let's see if this was a particularly productive day, but I basically write out my goals and I put them into different little categories. So personal, if I have meetings or correspondence, I need to call someone or email someone. And then I'm currently doing my PhD, and so this is just generally PhD related. I'm doing my defense quite soon, so I'm just preparing that presentation and preparing my PhD brochures and things like that. I have a few manuscripts that I wanted to get into journals, and I'm also doing a consultancy, so there's some things there. So like personal, correspondence, manuscripts, school, and work. And so I basically write down a breakdown of all the tasks. I realize if I just write like work on PhD, it's just really vague and overwhelming, and I don't really know where to start. So it's really helpful for me to break it down into like manageable, smart tasks that I could actually check off the list. And so I've been doing that like every day. And just recently, at the beginning of every month, there's like an open spread, and I reflect a little bit about by the end of the month, what are the different things I want to accomplish? Because I don't want to just get lost in the desire of just wanting to be busy. It's so easy to get wrapped up in that. And so at the beginning of every month, I use that page to reflect a little bit of what do I want to accomplish and why. And then every day I kind of use that space to advance in my goals. Now, there's that space over here that I had mentioned that you could actually use for your appointments. And sometimes I do that. Like there are days that are just back-to-back appointments. And so on those days, my to-do lists are much smaller. But usually I do this thing that I don't think many people do. But my friend actually, she's a professor at McGill University, she had suggested to me, and it's been so incredibly helpful. She actually gave me the suggestion when I've been drafting papers and drafting my dissertation. She said every time you put your dissertation away and you step away, right before you step away, just write down what's the next 3 things I need to work on when I get back to it. So read this article, write that last paragraph, and cross-reference this. Just 1, 2, 3. so that the next time you come back, you don't look at this huge document and you don't really know where to go next. And I thought that was so helpful in just outlining. Sometimes when we feel really overwhelmed, it's just nice to know what the next step is, or the next 3 steps. It feels a lot more manageable. And so I made this crazy list, of course, but it was definitely a lot more manageable because I would just outline the first 3 steps. My first 3 steps of the day tends to be the same every day. It's usually like the habit of like making my bed, having breakfast, journaling, praying, or planning the day. And then on this specific day, I had a meeting quite early, so I did that. And I just wrote those first 3. And I checked them off the list. I pulled them from here, obviously. I put them here and I checked them off the list. And then once this was done, I wrote the next 3, the next 3, next 3. And if I'm like focused, you could actually see by the end of the day you get a lot done. So I thought maybe I could show you how I do this every day. Some days, like I had mentioned, the lists are quite small, and some days they're longer. And so it's helpful to kind of take the time at the morning to really be honest with yourself about what you can actually do today. Sometimes we have better days than others, and that's very normal, and very healthy to acknowledge that. And some days we could really get a lot done, and so we want to be able to seize those opportunities too. So I thought I could just show you a little bit about how I do that. I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. Is that good? So I already started a little bit. Whenever I have a lull in the day, I just basically start my next one, and I start to doodle a little bit. So I broke this down already. So my goals for the day, can you actually see that? Here, yeah, goals for the day, my personal, my meetings and correspondence, my consultancy job, my PhD related things, and then my manuscripts. And so it's very early in the morning, as you could tell by the lack of light in this video, but I'm going to just write down what my first 3 things are. So first I want to make my bed and have some breakfast. I already did that. Sometimes I write things on the list that I've done. I'm trying not to do that anymore, but it is quite nice to check something off the list. And then I had to do an errand. I had to go drive my sister to the mechanic. So I'm just lucky I'm going to be able to knock those 3 off the list. And then I crocheted. So that was the first 3 things. And then the next 3 things, I'll be able to write that out. But as you can see, I have nothing really to pull from. And so that's where I go to another list that I make every month that has like the master plan for the month. And so I kind of, every day I look at what my goals are for the month, and I try to see what would be a priority to knock off the list today, or try to start working at. So on my master plan, for the month, I have things that are urgent, that are personal, some things related to my PhD. So this month I'm actually defending, so I have to make sure my PhD brochures are done. Hoping that it moves in. Okay, close, come on. You got it. There you go. And edit my PhD and do some mock exams, and then I defend at the end of the month. And then here is for my consultancy work, some of my major deliverables. I have 2 interns that I'm working with, and so I'm just breaking down the tasks that I need to do to accompany them to accomplish their goals. I am volunteering in my community, and so there's a few things that I'm responsible for. And then there's those manuscripts I told you about. So there's 4 that I need to move forward, and the specific tasks. And then finally some other things. I'm working on a children's book, and there's a few other things there. So it depends on my mood for the day. It depends on when the deadline is coming up. It depends on a number of things. But I take a look at this list and try to identify the things that I definitely want to move forward on. So today I'm very close to finishing this manuscript for submission. I'm waiting for an email from my supervisor to get her input on the edits that I made, and I need to complete the form. So that's one thing that I want to definitely do. So I'll write that into my manuscripts section. Perfect. So those are the things, oh, you didn't see any of that. Those are the things that I want to get done in terms of my manuscript. For my consultancy, I have a few things I also have to do. And so some of them is easy. I pull from this original list and like what the priority is for that day. I'm so sorry for the lack of focus in the camera. So I pull from here, and some things are really easy. It's just the things that I haven't completed from the day before that I just needs to move ahead. So I'll just do those two sections, but you get the general gist. But yeah, I have to finish the interview guide. I have a few emails I need to do to specific people, and to review one of my deliverables before I submit. So, and then I'll obviously off camera, I'll do the other sections as well. And so my priority really at the moment is to finish some of my work stuff. So I'll write for the next 3 things. The things I need to do is to finish that interview guide, and I think that'll take me maybe a half an hour. So, or 1 Pomodoro, so I'll put a circle for 1 Pomodoro. And I need to do some individual emails for my work. I think that'll take about an hour or 2 Pomodoros. And then I need to review my deliverable. And I also think that would take about an hour. Or at least an hour. So these circles are really helpful for me to just gauge how much time a task might take. Or a circle would represent 1 Pomodoro, or a Pomodoro is 25 minutes. So I normally would take 25 minutes of focused work. I don't touch my phone, I don't go to the fridge, I don't do anything like that. And after those 25 minutes, I take a 5-minute break, and I'm able to stretch and put on a song and dance a little, or get a snack or whatever it may be. But it's helpful to kind of gauge how long a task might take, or else this might take forever to actually get done. It's helpful to kind of play that little exercise with your brain of how long you actually think a task might take. So that's what I do, and it's so tempting to just like want to plan your best day and just write out everything you're gonna do. Like, first I'm gonna do these 3, and then these 3, and then these 3, and then in the end, life never goes to plan. So I've realized that I need to show some self-discipline and just stop there. So these are my next 3 tasks. That's what my next 2.5 or more hours will look like, is just to focus on this. And once I'm there, I could reassess how I'm feeling, if I need to go for a walk or do whatever I'd like to, and then I'd write the next 3 tasks. So that's been super helpful for me. I know that like people in the bullet journal world have a certain way of marking things down. I didn't do enough research to know what that looks like, but I feel like it's similar to what I do, I think. But I basically, if a task is started, or I could show you from yesterday, if a task is started, I write 1 little line to say that I'm in the middle of like working on it. If it's completed, then that gets a 2nd line, so a cross. And if it's something that clearly just is not going to happen today and it needs to be moved forward either to tomorrow or the future, I write like a little arrow. I don't know if there's another way of doing it. If there is, can you let me know? I don't know. This has been helpful. I've also put little dots for things that are a little bit more of a priority than others. But just over the year, that's the system that I've developed. That's all. I just wanted to share. I feel like I know this blank page in these daily planners can be overwhelming. And I've seen some really beautiful spreads of people like journaling. And like I had mentioned, my journaling's a little bit boring. It's a little bit just writing every day. I don't really put pictures and cute stuff like that. I'm really just trying to find efficient ways to plan. Maybe I'll keep watching some of those videos and be inspired and do something like that one day. But this is the system that I've been working with every day. I write out my overarching goals. I'd say what my first 3 things are. And then I celebrate when those 3 things are done and I move on to the next. So I just wanted to share. Super simple. And again, before I had the cousin, the Hobonichi Cousin, I would just do this on my iPad, or I would do it on a sheet of paper. And that's been working for me for years. But it's also quite nice to have it all in one spot, and you could actually take the time to like appreciate all you've done. Some of the threads are prettier than others, but for the most part it's quite functional. Sometimes I put a sticker or something if I'm feeling fancy. But that's it. That's how I usually use my daily planner. I hope that was helpful for anyone. I'm really open to learning about how to be more productive and more thoughtful with my time. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know. I hope you have a great and lovely and productive day. Bye.